I have a low GPA, but I want to be a PA or a doctor or something else in the medical field that is very competitive, and your low GPA is holding you back. And that's probably the most common thing that people come to me with. Lately, it's been kind of more higher caliber applicants who just kind of want to button up their application. They want to write an excellent personal statement. They want to confidently interview. That's kind of more of what I'm getting now. But at least when I started doing this, and still quite a bit, most of the people that come to me for help are lower GPA applicants, and they're wondering, how do I get in? This is what I want to do. I'm certain, I feel it in my soul that I want to be a medical provider. The only thing standing in the way is this low GPA, be it, a 3.0, a 3.1, a 2.9, or just a few semesters that were bad, or just a few grades that were bad, and that's what's standing in my way. How do I do it? So first things first, if you're new to the channel, I'm Boris. I'm a physician assistant. I've been advising people very successfully on how to get into PA school since 2019, so going on 5 years now. Might have even been before that. No, I want to say 2019. Anyway, about 5 years, close to 6 years now. And mainly, this is what I help people with. So the reason I'm asking, or the reason I'm answering this question right now, how to get in with a low GPA, is because of a pre-PA counseling that I just did with a girl whose GPA was a 3.2, not terrible. Her science GPA was just barely 3.0, 3.01 is what she had when she calculated it. And, she was saying like, okay, all these other aspects of my application are okay, but how do I overcome this? And this is what I want to talk about at length, because I got about 10 more minutes on my road trip here, and I do want to kind of explore this topic. And I know most people are probably going to scroll away or click off this video because it doesn't give you an easy solution. It doesn't give you like just do the one thing. Or, yeah, you could totally get in. You just have to do one thing, or you just have to do this, or you just have to write your essay this way, or you just have to shadow this many. No, it's not that, okay? The correct answer is the hard answer that nobody wants to hear. And this is exactly what I told that person that I did a pre-PA counseling with, and this is exactly what I want to tell you guys, because this is super important. And that is what this person right here commented. You have to become a competitive applicant. You have to prove yourself academically. I don't care what the numbers are. I don't care what the GPA ends up being. You must have at least one semester, preferably 2, of very solid academic performance, be it in a post-bac or a master's, although I prefer not a master's because their rigor, their academic rigor is not consistent. It's not as consistent as higher level undergraduate, upper level science courses, which are designed to kind of test your mettle, to weed you out, for graduate programs. That's what they're designed to do. They're hard. Graduate programs, some are very, very difficult, some are not. So that is why the advice is the best way to prove yourself academically to these programs is to have at least one semester, preferably 2, of very stellar performance in 16 credits or more, full-time, undergraduate, preferably not online, preferably not community college, preferably just a normal 4-year university. Doesn't have to be prestigious, but 4-year university, 1 or 2 semesters, very solid performance, full-time credit load, 16 plus, at least a couple of hard science courses in there. How do you pick the courses that you take? If you're going to do a design your own post-bac, you start with what you need prerequisites-wise. So you look at the schools that you're going to apply to, you look at the prerequisites that you need, and you see, okay, do I have all of these? Next, you see, do I have the grade that is required for all of these, because schools will not bend on that. If it's a C or better, and one of those prerequisites that you have is a C minus, you got to retake it. You got to get that, okay? So that's number one, first and foremost. And usually you will find 1 or 2 that you must retake. And okay, then those are the classes that you have to take. If you don't, if you're just straight up just for academic performance, then I would prefer that you don't retake things. Maybe retake A and P if you didn't do really well because you just want to solidify that knowledge. But just about everything else, I would much rather you not retake, but you take another upper level bio or chemistry course. Why? Because it's a lot harder to get an A the first time you take something than if you take it for the second or third time. Obviously, right? So that is what I told this person to do. Now, here is the real meat of the video. Here is the real, important message that if you don't take anything else away from this video, this is what I really want you to hear and internalize and understand. It's not about getting in. Your challenge, your journey, your mission right now, it's not about getting in to whatever program you want to get into, PA, MD, OT, DO, whatever. It's not about getting in. It's about becoming an excellent student, proving it to yourself first, and then proving it to admissions committees. And it'll be obvious by then. When you are a good student, when you've achieved very high levels academically, and no amount of information you throw at me, it doesn't matter. I will be able to, be a good student, pass whatever test you give me, any amount of information. I'm a stellar student. I can do it. I will survive in a very rigorous program. You have to prove that to yourself first. You have to prove that to the commission or the admissions folks first, or second, I guess, whatever. But you have to be able to prove that. You have to know that in your heart that you are an excellent student. Not, okay, well, I have a 3.2, so maybe if I take this many classes, I can get it up to like a 3.4, and then maybe I'll be competitive. It's not what it's about. It's about legitimately proving that you are a good student. Okay, so I'm going to use myself as an example because, it's the example that I'm most intimately aware of. So I was not a good undergraduate student. I was not. I had a 2.9 that I graduated with. I guess I was kind of a smart kid because I didn't really study, at least not well. I didn't really work really, really hard in college. I worked hard and I went to a pretty tough school. But I definitely I was not an excellent student. I was kind of okay just getting the gist of things. Okay, I'm in molecular bio. I kind of understand what's going on. Okay, yeah, I've learned something that's good enough for me, but it's not good enough. It's not. It was good enough for barely a B average, and not even that. And that's not good enough. That's not good enough as a healthcare provider. That's not good enough to make it in a program that was way harder than my undergraduate major, like PA school or medical school. It's just not good enough. And it wasn't until I really realized, okay, I'm not competitive. I need to fix this, that I went and did my post-bac. And that's when I really, at close to 30 years old at that time, that's when I really realized, okay, this is how you study. I have to figure this out. I never, in my 30 years on this planet, never figured out how to study. And it's embarrassing. It was really, really humbling. People say I don't remember where I heard this quote, but it's, if you're looking for God and you can't find him, you're not looking low enough. You need to be humble, humility. You need to understand, okay, I don't care how old I am. I don't care what I've accomplished. I don't care if I freaking won the Nobel Peace Prize or something. I am a shitty student and I still have to learn how to study from the ground up, which means for most people, usually it's transcribing things. Usually it's getting your PowerPoint slides and just writing them over and over again and condensing and condensing and condensing. That's the way that people who don't know how to study, that's how we first learn how to study. Then, once you kind of learn how to do that, you become more efficient at studying, and that's when you can kind of work a little smarter rather than harder. But at first, you're transcribing, you're condensing, you're making study guides, you're recording yourself, you're doing things over and over again that are not efficient, and you admit to yourself they're not efficient, but you got to do them anyway because you don't know how to study yet. You don't know how your brain works. You can't work smart because you haven't worked hard yet. Okay? And once you've gone through that process, once you've gone through that gauntlet, then finally you're okay, I can study now. And then you see yourself getting A's. Somebody who was a B and a C student suddenly getting a 3.9, pretty damn close to a 4.0 in a very tough program, taking a full load, competing with really smart kids. That's when I finally realized for the first time in my life, at that point, 30-ish years old, I was okay, now I'm a good student. Now I get it. And then I wore that with a sense of pride in my interviews, and they could tell. They could tell this guy is here to play. This guy is very confident academically. But that's when I realized, okay, I've got nothing clinically. I've got no patient care hours. I don't know anything about medicine except for the fact that I want to do it. So then I had to humble myself again, go become a scribe at 31 years old now with all these 20-year-old kids from college who are scribing. Now I've got to go be a scribe at 31 years old. And that was embarrassing, but I did it. And I'm glad I did because now, 5 years later, I'm a medical provider and all those experiences built me to where I am. And that's what I need you to do if you happen to be a low GPA applicant.